beautiful, sophisticated, and wild country. It has absolutely everything, from mountains and the ocean to volcanic islands, meadows, and magical beaches. The people of this country know how to sincerely be sad, love, and have fun. Same-sex marriages are legalized here, Sardine Day is an actual holiday, and people ride on sofas for fun. And here they sing the most soulful songs and bring the wildest cheers for their favorite football team. Today I will tell you interesting facts about Portugal, a country that is impossible not to admire. Let's go! Portugal is a small but proud country. Its area is just two-thirds of the state of Florida. The population is 10,165,000 people. Half of the population is based in Lisbon and Porto. By the way, the country owes its name to the city of Porto. Portugal translates as warm port. If you want to travel to the ends of the world, you definitely need to go to Portugal. It is here that you will find the westernmost point of Europe, Cape Roca. It rises 140 meters above the Atlantic Ocean. And now a little history. Portugal is the oldest European state, which has been a kingdom for more than 7 centuries. Also, not everyone knows that at some point the capital of the country used to be outside of Europe. For 14 years, the capital of Portugal was Rio de Janeiro. Yes, you heard that right. That Rio. In Brazil, the Portuguese royal family fled to escape, you'd never guess, from Napoleon. It may come as a surprise, but Lisbon is older than Rome by as much as 400 years. The only older European capital would be Athens. In 1755, a fateful event for the Portuguese capital took place. Lisbon was destroyed by a magnitude 9 earthquake. 275,000 people died, and 85% of the buildings were destroyed, including the famous palaces and churches. By the way, this very earthquake in Lisbon gave impetus to the birth of seismology as a science. The locals do not like to be reminded of this page of their history, but it was Portugal that started the European slave trade and transported slaves from West Africa to the American continent. But many years later, the same Portugal initiated the abolition of slavery, much earlier than other countries. Portugal in general has greatly influenced the world history. Portuguese sailors laid new routes and discovered new lands. Magellan made the first trip around the world, Vasco da Gama discovered the route to India, and Bartolomeu Dias was the first to go around Africa from the south and discovered the Cape of Good Hope. Another interesting fact is that Portugal maintained the status of a colonial power for the longest time. At its peak, it united 53 countries. Brazil was the first to gain independence in 1833. The last colony, Macau, was transferred to China only in 1999. Portuguese is the official language not only in Portugal, but also in 8 other countries.
Sonhando acordado, juntando o antes e o agora depois.
It is the 6th most spoken language in the world. It is spoken by over 240 million people. About 80% of Portuguese speakers live in Brazil. The Portuguese are very religious. 85% of local residents are Catholics, about 9% are atheists. There are a huge number of temples on the territory of Portugal. Some of them are very unusual. For example, the chapel of the town of Evora is lined with skeletons of Franciscan monks. Chapel of Del Carmo in Faro, lined with monastic skulls. A rather not trivial choice of decor. Religion has always strongly influenced the life of the Portuguese. Due to the high religiousness of the population, abortion in this country was legalized only in 2007. Matriarchy reigns in Portuguese families. Women make the main decisions. In 2010, Portugal legalized same-sex marriage, becoming the sixth country in Europe to recognize non-traditional relationships. Many locals have two-part surnames. The first comes from the father, the second from the mother, and in some families, children are given the names of not only their parents, but their grandparents too, who also have double surnames. All this is compiled together like train cars, and can be quite hard to remember. By the way, double names are also common, like Marie-Louise, for example. My name here could have been something like Andrew Christian Burenok Goodman Biden or something. You get the picture. In Portugal, not only names and surnames are long. Lisbon is home to one of the longest bridges in Europe, the six-lane Vasco da Gama Bridge. Its length is 17,185 meters. This construction has become a new symbol of the Portuguese capital. And the April 25th bridge in Lisbon, or Ponte 25 de Abril in Portuguese, is recognized as the most beautiful in Europe, and deservedly so. Lisbon is a city full of hills. Back in the 19th century, the Portuguese were looking for a way to make travel more convenient. This is how funiculars appeared. And then, at the beginning of the 20th century, city elevators. One of them, the Santa Justa elevator, still exists. Then tram lines and metro lines were built in Lisbon, and now escalators are appearing right on the streets of the capital. Tuk-tuks are also popular here. Their main task, of course, is to entertain tourists, but they are also good for navigating the busy streets of Lisbon. Noteworthy, in public transport, Portugal fines those who do not give way to people with disabilities, the elderly, pregnant women, and passengers with small children. Fines range from 50 up to 1,000 euros. In such a simple way, the authorities foster decency among the citizens. Let's talk cuisine. The ocean is nearby, so it's no wonder that most Portuguese dishes are based on fish and seafood. The locals just love shrimp. So much so that they eat them whole. Try to guess which fish is in the center of Portuguese cuisine. It's cod. It is not found off the coast of Portugal, therefore it's being brought from Norway. Portuguese chefs say that there are 365 ways to cook cod, as many as there are days in a year. By the way, for Christmas, some local supermarkets set up a Christmas tree made of cod. That's how much they love it. In general, Portugal has adored cod for many centuries, and one could wonder why the locals like this foreign fish so much when there is so many other fresh goodies nearby. Sweets in Portugal are also loved. The original recipe for the famous Portuguese pastel de nata is kept in secret. It is known only to the confectioners of the oldest pastelery in the Belev. The Portuguese cannot live without coffee, but the country's national drink is wine. It is here that the famous port wine is produced. It matures in barrels longer than all other wines, due to which it acquires the spicy, oaky flavors. According to international law, only drinks produced in the northeast of Portugal, in the Douro Valley, have the right to carry the name port wine. In addition to this, Portugal is famous for its young green wine, as well as Madeira wine. Ginginha is a traditional Portuguese cherry liquor drink. It has an original presentation. Traditionally, bartenders put it in chocolate cups that serve as a snack. Another interesting thing, 70% of all wine corks in the world come from Portugal.
В описании к видео я оставил 3 полезные ссылки. Первая на мой курс по интернет-маркетингу, на котором за последний год обучилось более 1000 человек. Не стесняйтесь, переходите, пишите, звоните, мои коллеги расскажут все преимущества этого курса, а также о тех специальных условиях, которые действуют сейчас. Вторая ссылка на приложение Trip My Dream для телефонов Apple. очень удобное, клевое приложение. Переходите, скачивайте, пользуйтесь. И третья ссылка на мой бизнес-канал, который я не так давно создал, в котором пытаюсь вас вдохновить действовать по вдохновению, создавать то, что вам нравится. Я снимаю интервью, а также даю полезные советы вместе с коллегами на этом канале. Ну и приятного просмотра видео дальше.
In the culture of Portugal, there is a cult of longing. It sits at the core of the national musical genre, fado. In 2011, it was added to the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage List. Fado is usually represented by songs with sad melodies, often about the sea, unrequited love, and the inevitability of fate. In many ways, this is a consequence of the fact that Portugal was a great maritime power. The sailors went to sea, and their relatives yearned for them with all their hearts. Traditional fado is performed to the accompaniment of the Portuguese guitar, and the name comes from the Latin word fatum, that is fate. It's interesting that a third of the population of Portugal has no education, but almost everyone here plays at least one musical instrument. Another national treasure of Portugal are the azulejo tiles. They can be seen on the facades and in the interiors of churches, palaces, ordinary houses, and even metro stations. They are used for house numbers and street names. Signboards and even huge paintings are created with them. Looking at the patterns on an azulejo-covered wall is a special kind of meditation. Despite the fact that azulejo is just a ceramic tile measuring 14 by 14 centimeters, the Portuguese turned it into a real work of art. Azulejos come in a variety of colors, but the classic pattern is blue on a white background. Some of them are here to tell a story. Biblical scenes are especially popular. Many azulejos depict important events in Portuguese history, and some are even documents. For example, a panel with the image of Lisbon before the earthquake of 1755. You can find this one and a lot more at the Lisbon National Azulejo Museum. The legendary azulejo tiles are not only magically beautiful, but also practical. In winter, they protect from dampness, and in summer, from heat. Nowadays, many houses and facades of Portugal are decorated with graffiti. Here, it's not considered as vandalism, but rather a form of art. A large number of graffiti festivals are held annually, and street artists are very popular. But the true stars in the country, of course, are the football players. Who are you rooting for? One of the first questions that the Portuguese ask the first time they meet. They are crazy about football. Literally the whole country is rooting for their favorite clubs and the national team. One of the most successful football players in history, Cristiano Ronaldo, was born in Portugal, and here he is a true hero. The boy from a poor family managed to achieve world fame, and many Portuguese boys sincerely dream of recreating that success one day. In Portuguese stores, you'll find a huge variety of t-shirts, towels, baby suits, and even dog clothes with the image of Cristiano Ronaldo. The airport of Madeira Island is named after Ronaldo. To sum up, football is alive here. The Portuguese go to matches with families, and hopefully everyone is rooting for the same team, otherwise conflicts are unavoidable. If your favorite team loses, then the ocean will help relieve the stress. The raging yet healing ocean. Portugal has the best waves, I can tell from my own experience. This country is a real mecca for surfers. Thanks to the mild climate, you can practice here almost all year round. And there is enough space for everyone. The total length of the beaches is more than 800 kilometers. By the way, the largest wave in the world at almost 24 meters in height was caught by a Hawaiian surfer off the coast of Nazaré, here in Portugal. The underwater canyon of this area contributes to the generation of giant waves. A big wave is a real treat for those that come here. The Portuguese know how to enjoy life and are no strangers to hard partying. The country has a huge number of holidays. In addition to the public ones, they celebrate Sardine Day, Chestnut Day, Explorers Day, hold a wine festival, and arrange sofa races. Life in Portugal is one big holiday. Come and see for yourself. I have always been drawn to Portugal. Probably because of the sincerity of the people, the incredible nature, the ocean, however cold it may be, and just something inside of me that keeps yearning for this place. Yes, I was there as a tourist several times, but for some reason I wanted to come and live there for a bit. I even thought about buying some real estate there and finally taking that plunge. But at some point the borders were closed and Portugal, just like many other countries, remains unavailable for the moment. As soon as the borders open, I promise myself to return and try to live there for at least some time and explore this incredible, spiritual, magical country. Friends, please write in the comments what fact about Portugal surprised you the most, and let me know if you stayed with me up until this point. Sending all of you a virtual hug. Live simply and simply live. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What we send out into the world, no matter where we are, is what the world, a city, a country, an apartment, a friend, or a situation will present to us. Love yourself, love life. Bye-bye.